Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. My name is KB. With me is the old man, and we're here to discuss UVA, the Cavaliers, in Week 5, Friday night in Charlottesville, in a big game for Florida State. Their biggest game in weeks, I would say, in the opening game of the ACC schedule. Should be a fun one. Join us, comment, give us your thoughts tonight as we go through the preview. Hopefully, we'll have some spirited debate. We'll get your comments. Jalen, great to see you. You are the first one in, it looks like.
Always.
Appreciate you being here, but we
He
appreciate
beat
you,
Mike
Jalen.
again. He took Mike to task one-on-one, knocked Mike out. I don't know where Mike is.
We appreciate you,
He's probably at
everyone.
McDonald's
Nothing
picking
wrong
up
with
a
McDonald's.
snack.
I would love a McDonald's right now.
I do too. I do. I like McDonald's at certain times. You know, sometimes you want like Chinese food or Mexican food, or sometimes you just want a burger and fries. You know,
Nothing wrong with that.
and if the shake machine is not broken, you can't get a shake after 5 o'clock. They don't want to clean it.
I haven't had a milkshake in years, but those will. I wouldn't be here at the show if I had one of those, for several reasons. So, but we won't get into that. But yeah, excited for anyone being here. We appreciate you if you're here. Like the YouTube video, we appreciate it. It does a lot for us. But yeah, we're gonna break down the game, give our unique thoughts on it. You may have heard some of them. You may, a lot of people talking about this game, obviously. But yeah, we'll give our spin on it, what we think. If we think there's going to be an upset this weekend, I think, it's going to, I think just to start with, I think it's going to be a very tight game. Anyone who I think doesn't think it's going to be a tight game may have some. I would love to debate that, but we'll see what the old man thinks. Obviously, we don't talk much before the game or before these shows because I want to keep it fresh for the discussion. So we'll see what the old man has to say. I think it'll be a tight game. But before we dive into it and get into the preview, anything you want to discuss, old man? I know you've been traveling. Are you home? In the home studio?
I'm in the home studio here back in Central Florida, back into the heat. I was up in Cape Cod for about 5 days, visiting with family, visiting with my grandkids, and had the honor of attending the very first tailgate at my granddaughter's high school. She's a senior. She's graduating this year. She's a star soccer player and a captain of the ladies soccer team. They're having a hell of a great year. And vice president of the class, she promised to have a tailgate at the school, the first one ever at Cardinal Spellman High School, Catholic high school in the Boston area. And guess who was the DJ? Me. I volunteered. Then she said no, the school was going to do it. And then the school pulled the plug. They had to use the speaker out on the football field prior to the game. And I was ready to go. I was ready to go. 250 songs on my phone, Bluetooth to my son-in-law's outstanding speaker that he brought. Thank you, Rob. And we blasted the place. It was great. We had a great time. Lots of pictures, family fun. Everybody had a great time there. In fact, our tent was the most popular. Rob and Scott, they were cooking up burgers, dogs. It was great. A lot of us didn't think Rob's idea of having a hot dog eating contest with the students was good. That could have some legalities And I'm not even sure the school knew that was going on, but it was all good. We had a great time. I got back Monday night.
Well, that's good. I'm sure. It sounds like everyone had fun. I'm sure they're glad to have the house back to themselves, but I'm sure everyone had fun. It sounds like everyone had fun, and I'm glad you're happy to be back in Florida again. So, but yeah, that's great. Only news from me is that I spent 3 hours at the dentist today. So, as we all know, that's a great time. So,
that sucks.
I had a great Wednesday. And I'm glad to be talking some FSU.
Well, my girlfriend Liz, she had 2 crowns put on today too. So you two are hooked together on that, going to the dentist at the same time. Hey, last shout out. My grandson, my only grandson, completed a 26.1 mile marathon, first time ever, up in Ohio at Wright Pat Air Force Base up there. And he did it right around 4 hours. Super congratulations.
Absolutely.
Christian. That's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable
That's awesome.
accomplishment. And congratulations to him. It was great. I saw a couple of soccer games with my granddaughter. They won those games. I mean, that stuff's physical in high school. People were popping each other. In fact, they need some of those girls on the football team because they got crunched after that tailgate.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's dive into the preview. So obviously, big matchup this weekend against UVA, and that's the first time we've been able. I think many teams have been able to say that against UVA. In a long time. UVA is obviously coming off a win against Stanford, 48-20. Once again, put up some big numbers this past weekend on them. This year they rank number 1 or 2 in total offense, or 5th in total offense in FBS with over 560 yards plus per game, 20th in passing with 300 yards per game, rushing they're 13th in the country with 250 plus, and then scoring they're at 11th with 45 points per game. Similar to FSU, we're right there with them in those totals, right? We're right up there. So this is where it's 2 explosive offenses. Florida State obviously is number 1 in FBS with 628 yards of offense. But you have to take into account who we've played the last 2 weeks, is kind of inflating those numbers while we go into ACC play. But rushing the ball, we're 2nd, scoring, we're 1st, and passing, we're 40th or 39th, because obviously we haven't been passing the ball a whole lot, but have pretty good numbers there. So this is a tale. There's a couple of narratives going into this game, tale of 2 explosive offenses, and a tale of, what will the defenses of each side be able to do? Because the UVA defense, I wouldn't say is elite. I wouldn't even say they're good. They're probably average plus. Right now, they rank 44th in FBS in yards per game, 313, giving up 313 yards per game. And when you look at their schedule and who they play, it's not like they've also played elite competition. They played 2 Power 4 teams in Stanford and NC State. One of those being a loss to NC State on the road, a close match there. But once again, it was the offense that really carried that game for them. They gave up 35 points in that football game. So the defense for UVA has been tested, and they've given up a lot of points and a lot of yards. Like I said, they're a top 50 defense, but they really haven't been tested by too many teams of quality yet. Same could be said for Florida State on the defensive end, Alabama being our really true opponent this year. But that was a dominating effort by Florida State, right? In that Alabama game, you shut down that offense, you shut down their quarterback, and you really, held them to 13 points in that game. So a great defensive effort there. You do rank 21st in FBS and total defense. So you would have thought maybe Florida State would be a top 15 defense right now based on the cupcakes they've played. But you are still giving up 248 yards per game. You could say, well, you are playing rotational guys in the second half the most time, so you're going to give up, these yardage. You're not giving up points, but you're giving up pure yardage. So, you can look both ways into statistics, right? Statistics fit the narrative you're trying to sell. But I think it's going to be interesting. Once again, Florida State's defense comes in untested really the last couple of weeks, the last 3 weeks, going against a high-powered offense. And we have to say, and we have to decide one is this Florida State defense going to be for real this year? Because Alabama, already the narrative coming out of ESPN and those, the SEC network is, you wouldn't want to play Alabama today. They've really turned around Ty Simpson, and this offense for Alabama is now back. And week 1 was a fluke. And this is Florida State's chance to prove on the defensive side of things. No, it's not a fluke. This is a defense that can put helmet to helmet, can put a body on you, and can shut you down. And they're going to have the chance to prove that on the road Friday night in Charlottesville against a top 10, like I said, offense in the country. This will be a statement that they'll be able to put in primetime on ESPN on Friday, only major game on, where they can show the world, no, this defense is here to play, and we'll show you again that we can shut you down. Before I get into my next statement, what do you got to say? What is one of your narratives you're looking at here?
I've got a lot to say on, sometimes it gets a little disjointed, but listen, I'll start with this because I do have some stuff, some substance here. Florida State's going to win this game. They're going to win this ball game. It may be by 1, it may be by 3, it may be by 7.5 or 7. The line is anywhere from 7.5 to 6.5 favoring Florida State. They're going to win this game. You know why? Because they have to win this game. This is a critically important game, not just because it's the first game ACC conference game, not because of that. Mm-hmm. It's to continue to establish their identity. As you stated, KB, they've played one opponent, which they dominated, and that was Alabama, and that was one hell of a win that turned the country to tune them in to see if they're for real.
Yep.
They haven't played a game, in my opinion, since beating Alabama. The two other games, East Texas A&M and Kent State, were practices where they could develop players, they could develop techniques of playing together and communication. But we haven't played a game in like a true game, mm-hmm. the one I count, and which I count for statistics. I don't really cover those other statistics for Florida State or for Virginia outside of their 2 ACC games. I really don't.
Yep.
Those are make-believe. Florida State must win this football game. They have to use this as momentum to get into the ACC conference where they have 8 opponents waiting for them. Okay? And then the next year, they're going to have 9 conference games. This leads us to the Miami game. People say, well, they could get caught napping looking ahead. They're not looking ahead. I'm convinced this coaching staff, being old school, does not allow that. And they will only play people they have confidence in. Mm-hmm. If you're not playing confidently in the game, you're not flying to the football, you're not blocking people, which your assignment calls for, you're not going to be in the football game. Mm-hmm. They come in, I would say, almost 100% healthy. Okay?
Yeah.
Tommy Castellanos is 100%. That's the word. All right? Whether he is or he isn't, we're going to find out. We get back. Kevin Wynn's going to show up and play some reps. Mm-hmm. Squirrel White has been catching footballs, but I think he'll be under limited reps. I really do. They really need him against Miami. I think they can beat this Virginia team without Squirrel White. So I don't know anybody who's not playing in this game. You might. I don't know, but that's okay. We can get into that. But they're going to win this football game. They must win this football game.
Yeah.
And I'll go into more details as we get into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's a must-win game, and it's a should-win game. I do. It doesn't matter if it's close or not. A win will be a win. You shouldn't come into this game expecting to blow out this team by 21 points, and it doesn't matter if you do. In my eyes, this is a decent, good UVA team that can put up points, and you don't need to beat them by 21 points. You beat them by 14 points. That's a win on the road on a Friday night. This is a Florida State team that, once again, hasn't played away from home yet. This is their first true road game of the season. There is going to be there is going to be some adversity faced. Like we talked about last show, this team hasn't faced any adversity yet, really. They haven't had to play from behind. They haven't had to play on the road. They haven't had to, overcome a major bad play that got them behind. Bad, really, really bad field. So this is really going to test several things with this team and the maturity of this team, which I think the maturity of this team is, slightly above, miles ahead of what it was obviously last year. And the types of leaders and the players you have on it. But it will test them. I think, obviously Charlottesville and UVA and the stadium will be packed, but it isn't like going to Death Valley. Let's just put that out there. Like, their game, UVA's game last weekend wasn't sold. It wasn't packed.
You can get a ticket for $46 right now on TickPick. So I don't think it'll even be sold out. They say it's 61,000 seating. I don't think it is. You and I've been there.
Even if it's packed, it's not going to be like you're playing. Like I said, it's not going to be like playing at Michigan. It's not going to be like playing at Death Valley or wherever. So that I don't think is going to be a true psychological thing for them, but it is going on the road, not with your fan base, traveling, especially on a short week. Those are things that go into preparation. But the biggest one.
Let me counter that just a little bit. Most of the veterans on this football team on Florida State have been through this. That's not going to faze them. They'll bring the younger guys along on what to expect and so on. Tommy Castellanos has played enough football in opponent stadiums. That's not any issue there. The same with our other really stars, our offensive line. Those guys have played a lot of football. So all this hype, the media hype about on the road for the first time. And we had so much fan reaction, even in Doak. That was our friendly crowd, obviously. But, this team is going to be focused, and it's not like they've never played, in an opponent's stadium before. So I don't see that as going to be a big factor. Now, what I see is a couple of factors here, KB, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is first of all, when you throw out the opponents of Virginia, you throw out everybody except the NC State game and Stanford. They've had 2 conference games. They're 1-1 in those conference games. They lost to NC State 35-31.
Yep.
And I don't think that NC State's a national power. They're certainly not ranked as a national power.
No, like
they put up 35 points.
Yep.
In that game, offensively, the grade that PFF gave Virginia, they gave them a 70.4 overall grade. Passing was 74.8. But here's what I want you to look at. In terms of pass blocking for their quarterback, they only got a 59.6.
Mm-hmm.
That is horrible.
It is.
Okay? That is not good. And let me sway right into that. Their center, a guy named Wilson, okay? His name is Brady Wilson, a senior redshirt. He's played a lot of football. He is unlikely to play in this game. They're saying he might be a game time decision. I think that's BS. He is probably not going to be in this game, or if he is, he won't be in there long when our defensive tackles get on him. He is the leader of that line. He calls all the blocking schemes. They're going to have to juggle. They're going to have to juggle that offensive line now. I've been listening to Virginia media and their coach, and they're going to have to, Tony Elliott, good coach, they're going to have to juggle that. Our defensive front now should, I think, have a field day and put a lot of pressure on their quarterback. All right. Now, a couple more points, then I'll shut up for a minute. However, they have an excellent quarterback. Okay. They have an excellent quarterback. And Chandler Morris started at, I think he started at Oklahoma. He then went to TCU, and he couldn't quite get enough playing time there. And then he ended up at North Texas State, where he put up really good numbers, went into the portal, and was grabbed by the Who's, okay? The Cavaliers. He has 85 completions on 120 passes. He's got over 1,000 yards passing, eight TDs, and 1 interception. Yep. He is a legitimate threat to any defense he plays. I am concerned about his offensive line, especially if they can't get a rush game going. He is really going to have to throw the ball. But he's the type of guy who can throw the ball 45 times, maybe 50 times if he has to.
Yeah.
He's got a lively arm. He's got some good receivers, okay? Particularly Mr. Terrell Harris. Terrell Harris is a guy who can go deep on you. He's got 321 yards on 18 receptions already with 3 touchdowns.
Which is more than he had last year, all of last year.
Absolutely.
His totals of last year.
He had 3 touchdowns against Stanford, and they were on some deep patterns. He is a real threat to the Florida State defensive secondary, and they're going to have to keep an eye on him. Now, if they go one-on-one on him, which I think they will start early on that to see, but we may have to double him up. They have an adequate running game, okay? But I think with their offensive line struggling, that could be a problem. I expect to see a lot of passing from UVA in this game, and they do have the ability to score some points, but not as many, my friend, as the Noles do. And you tell us why the Noles are going to beat them up.
Well, I don't think they'll beat him up, but we're in effing trouble if we have to double team Terrell Harris. I think he's a good player.
You think so?
If our DBs can't cover one player that has a career 600 yards or so,
who do you put on him, Mr. Wilson?
I put the defense on him. Like, play your positions and play it right. If you can't, get off the damn field. Like, this is, once again, Alabama had. Like, you know, they have top receivers, right? I forget his name's not in my mind right now.
Ryan Williams.
Yeah, Ryan Williams. They have Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams is a better talented player, probably, or as talented as Terrell Harris, and you bottled him up. Now, Ryan Williams dropped some passes, but you were able to keep the ball in front of him, keep him in front of you, not let him go off and make explosive plays. Once again, you can't let what happened last week, trick plays, get sucked up, and they try to do some trickeration. You can't be over aggressive and let guys get behind you, because that's what they'll try to do. You can't. You know, I know Jerry Wilson sometimes. He likes, like I said, he likes to kind of read the pattern and try to read the quarterback's eyes and over aggressive to get interceptions, but they're analyzing that. I can guarantee it. They're seeing who's being overly aggressive, who's trying to play the passing lanes, you know, and
who's trying to make a name for themselves for the next level. Yeah,
and they'll make you pay. And like, you know, Terrell's a speedy player, like you said, against Stanford. You know, he was able to get behind the defensive backs.
He's a good player. Let's
I'm not saying he's not, but he's not. This guy has been popping off for 3 years, so I'm not going to go and praise him like he's the next Heisman
I'm just
winner.
saying.
So I'm not saying we need to double team or triple team him. Like, our defense, if they're heralded as they are being, they should be able to contain him like we were Ryan Williams. That's all.
He's the guy, though. Terrell is the guy who will spread the field. And they're going to try that early on. They're going to try.
Test them. Yeah.
They're definitely going to test them. Yeah. They have the quarterback to test them, to send it long, even if they don't catch the pass, to show that we can go deep, because they have to loosen up our defense to get their run game going. Yeah, everybody has to have a run game until you don't have a run game. Yeah. Then you have to throw the ball.
And guys like KJ Kirkland, if they're not ready to play, then they need to get off the field, because KJ, I'm not sold on him. He has not had a great year. He's gotten beat, like he got beat last weekend on the trick play. Guy got behind him, and he's getting graded terrible in coverage this year. He's not making plays. He's getting beat against terrible opponents.
He's not the starter.
Yes, he was out there as the starter. What are you talking about? Yes.
I thought he was backing up.
Yes. So if he's out there, then you need to trust in him. If he's starting to get beat, then you need to make some quick decisions on that defense, because when he is out there, he's been a liability in my eyes. And so, that's one thing to look at, because this team is capable of beating you deep, like you said, capable of beating you with their quarterback. Because this is, like you said, this is a quarterback. This is a Ty Simpson. This isn't a guy coming off the bench for the first time with a lot of talent. This is a guy that's been played for 4 seasons, or been to 3 different programs, had tons of experience last season, experience the year before that, and is coming in ready to play in a competent styled offense. They have a good play caller, a new play caller, and they have a competent team that's going to call the right plays and game plan appropriately for Florida State.
Okay, let me switch.
You can't have coverage liabilities like KJ Kirkland, who has 65 snaps in coverage, and he's getting a lot of playing time, and he's not playing well. So that's something to watch on Friday night.
Yeah, the thing with Chandler Morris, their quarterback, this guy's not a kid. He's like 24 years old. He's been around. He's been in a lot of systems. This is his most productive year outside of North Texas. His quarterback grade so far is like 84.9. He has a very high quarterback efficiency rating in his passing. Okay. He's like 60 plus % anywhere he's played football. Okay. And including this year. This year in all the games he's been in, the 4 games, he has a very high percentage. He's pretty accurate. He knows where to go with the ball. So, he is a threat. He may be the best quarterback we faced this year, as you said. I think you were alluding to that. I think he's better off now than Ty Simpson was when we faced Alabama. Now, here's something I think people might find very interesting. In the NC State game, their pass blocking was 59.6, which I said. Their run blocking was 53.0 in grading on PFF. That is not very good. Now, here's what I want to point out. When they played Stanford, okay, which was last week, and they beat Stanford, okay? Yep. They beat Stanford 48-20. Look what happened in their grades in terms. They had an overall on offense of 83.4 overall grade out. Mm-hmm. Passing, their blocking on passing was 82.7 versus 59 before. That's a big jump. That's 30 points. Their rush blocking was 70, a jump of about 17 points. So they seem to be making progress, but with their center out, that could hurt that. We'll see how that all works out. But they seem to be developing now, but I don't think they're going to develop enough against this Florida State team.
No, if Wilson's out, it absolutely kills them. He is one of the top, like Pettibon. Those 2 guys are the hearts of their lines. If Pettibon's gone, Florida State's in trouble. And if Wilson's gone for them, I think they're also in trouble, because they're both top 20, top 10 offensive linemen in the country, at least, and at minimum centers in the country. And you can look at the grades, you can look at their performance, you can look at the types of pressures they give up. It's a few, if not any. They're not giving up sacks. And once again, center drives everything, right? It snaps the ball correctly.
He
commands the offense, calls
yes,
coverages.
Right.
Calls to the blitzes, and so if that player is out, it will be a huge advantage for Florida State. And you were talking about the running grades, you can see them up here, run blocking and stuff like that. They did struggle in NC State, and Dave Dorian, NC State does pride themselves on having typically good defenses, good defensive players. Obviously, they give 31 points, but the run blocking did suffer there. So this gives me, when you look at, like you said, the Power 4 teams that they face, Stanford is not a very good team, obviously, not the quality level.
And they played Coastal Carolina and William and Mary.
So if you look at just, I would really say NC State's probably the closest to what Florida State has in terms of team talent and coaching. I think you should be able to put up this type. I do see something similar to this in terms of points, us scoring 35, 40-ish type of points, and I could see us giving up 21 to 28 type of points. I think this game is going to be very much like the NC State game in terms of scoring and momentum. And I think too, we're going to be able to drive pressure on them, especially if Wilson in the middle is out for them. Now, where they also did struggle in that game, obviously based on points. They did struggle against NC State tackling. They have gotten healthier though on the defensive side. They've gotten a number of players back on the defensive
I just
side.
don't think they have enough depth. I think the rotation that we have to throw in terms of depth on the defense will eventually win out. I just don't feel they have enough talent on defense, and they don't have enough depth to keep up with Florida State's offense.
Yeah, I mean defensive. So you're talking about defensive depth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, like I said, they've gotten Cam Robinson back. They got Antonio Clary back. They got Micah Buchanan back, who are all good players, and that does, like you said, make them not have to kind of lean as much on their depth.
And Cam Robinson, who you mentioned, is probably the best athlete they have on defense, but he's been out. So he's not going to be in game condition. Yeah, I know. But I think we'll see. He's a very good player. Florida State was very interested in him during the recruiting days. But, a lot of people think he's going to be a high NFL draft choice someday.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
he does come off the edge to get after the quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how they use that Cam Robinson. Yeah.
No, and they're getting healthy, I would say, at the right time. But to your point, depth is probably a concern for them in terms of depth, talented depth, guys they can rotate in. I think Florida State, like you said, on paper, Florida State does have more talent. I think in terms of ready depth or available depth to play right away and make an impact, I think Florida State does have that at certain positions. I think defensive line, they have that. Linebackers, you could say they have some of that. Defensive backs, I think, is where we should have concerns. I don't know. I think our defensive back depth is not as deep because, once again, a lot of those guys, they've got game experience in terms of these cleanup games, but I don't know how many of them are kind of impact playmakers yet. We haven't seen some of those depth guys in the defensive backfield make plays. So if a guy gets hurt there, if Jerry Wilson gets hurt or Jabril or one of those guys gets hurt, who's ready to step up and make big time plays? The only guy really who's stepped up so far and been consistent is kind of Jerry Wilson. In terms of defensive backs, obviously we have guys in the middle of the field who are making plays on defense. But I think the defensive backfield is somewhere where we do lack in terms of game ready depth in my eyes.
Who do you think is the weakest guy in the defensive backfield that you said? AJ Kirkland. You think he's the weak link? KJ,
yeah.
Do you think he's the weak link?
Yeah, obviously.
I'm wondering what our viewers think. Do they think there's certain players in that defensive secondary the weakest? If you do, put it in the comments. We'll put it up on the board here.
KJ's a liability so far when he's been on the field.
Why do you think they keep putting him out there? Then
because I don't think available
Tony
depth.
White is like that.
Because you don't have because once again, you have the guys like Kai Bates, Charles Lester. You have guys, but they must not be ready to play. Or maybe it'll change this weekend. I don't know, but I think maybe he's just performed poorly. Maybe he'll shine. And I think
maybe he just got beat once. He made a mistake.
Maybe
that happens in football games.
He's giving up like a QB rating of like 116 right now. So it's more than one play. But once again, it's early in the season. I'm not going to give up on a guy 3 weeks into the season. But it's really going to come down to this is another true test for him. Does he step up?
Oh, this will be a test.
Big offense. If he doesn't, then there needs to be potentially conversations made about what do we do? What do we do with him? And I know Edwin and KJ, kind of rotate and so on, but KJ's gotten 60 plus snaps on the field. So it's not like he's not a significant contributor. Cause I know some will say, well, Edwin's on the field more than him. Both those guys get on the field a good amount on the same time. Cause like I said, he's a top 10 snap count guy in the defensive backfield or in the defense is KJ. So he'll be on the field. And when he is on the field, he can't be a liability for us. That's all I'm saying. But defensively, we'll need another big game from Earl Little Jr. He's going to have to set the tone as the rover for this defense, obviously. We'll need the linebackers to, once again, have another Alabama-type game. Guys like Stephon Thompson, Elijah Herring, Justin Cryer, those guys have another step up, set the right holes. Because one thing you can't let happen in this game, you can't let them establish any type of consistent run game. That is because that's what's going to allow them to free up and obviously let their pass game go wild. Because if they can establish balance early on, you're going to have a hell of a day trying to contain the pass game in my eyes. You have to set a tone early, just like they did against Alabama, that running against us is not going to be easy. That you're going to get two,
I would be shocked, KB. I'd be shocked if our defensive front and the way Tony White runs this defense, I'd be shocked if they don't tear up that offensive line. It's going to be juggled for UVA, that we don't have a good day against them. If we don't have a good night against UVA's offensive front, I'm going to be, one, shocked. I'll be disappointed, and it won't be a good sign moving forward.
No,
I'll just say it. I'm not going to have any excuses or explanations.
No,
we're a more physical, we're more athletic, and we're a more dominant defensive line.
No,
okay?
I agree, and that should be the expectation. The expectation should be greatness and having an elite game, and it should be, because the only example we have is against Alabama, and they played lights out. The only thing you could take away from that game is you need to finish more tackles. There's a lot of missed tackles. James Williams created a lot of pressure. Had some missed tackles, didn't finish. But this is
let's talk about James Williams.
Yeah, once again, this is a game for him to really step up and show this is why they brought me in. Whether that's
you think? Yeah, you were talking about it. We were talking about him, in other shows. He has not made the impact that was expected at this point. What I've noticed about James is he seems to have one primary move on the edge, and that is a speed rush to the outside to try to get the angle on the tackle, okay? But he's unable to really close before that ball gets gone from the quarterback. He doesn't have really a bull rush move. I don't see him doing much stuff with his hands. I think some of his techniques are a little underdeveloped, and he hasn't really had any sacks, has he? Half a sack? No, I don't think he has any. Not that it's a big deal. He hasn't had the impact that we need on the defensive end.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks he's played a total of 30 snaps. So it's he hasn't, in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, he's played a total of 30 snaps. So I think they've kind of been resting him because he kind of was banged up in week 2. So I think he's been rested. And once again, he's not, in my eyes, a run specialist. So, and you saw last game, you can see snap distribution.
But mainly we need him to get to the quarterback.
You get to the quarterback, correct, and pursuit. So, and that's where I think against Alabama, he did make a few bad plays where they allowed him to contain. He didn't contain the quarterback. He did build some pressure. He did create some pressure that allowed some plays to be made, which is good. But sometimes Ty Simpson was able to break that contain. Like he went inside and he allowed the quarterback to get around him. I'd like to
see him do a little bit different. Let's watch Friday night, and you tell me if I'm seeing. I don't see him making like a spin move inside unless he's just got to hold outside responsibility. But he's getting pushed pretty far.
I think this game will be a better test because the last couple of weeks, the quarterbacks of those, kind of garbage teams, their game plan was quick pass. They knew they couldn't sit back there and just hold the ball for 2 or 3 seconds because they would get destroyed. So the game plan for them was quick play action, quick get away, run the ball, get away. So it wasn't really a place for him to operate. This, I believe, on Friday night, UVA is going to try at times. They're going to try to establish a run, but they're also they're going to try to go deep on us, like you said. So the quarterback is going to have to sit back there a couple of seconds. He's going to try to sit back there behind his line and launch it, and that's where a guy like James Williams is going to have to create pressure and do what we brought him in here to do. And also,
any offense wants to establish that rush, and why we're talking about establishing that rush, so they can get to the play action. Talk a minute about they use 2 or 3 running backs, but their key is they like to use Jamari Taylor. Okay, Jamari Taylor, 3 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns against NC State. He's posted almost 300 yards with 6 touchdowns so far, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's had several catches, on the run. So he is a guy that they expect to establish to run with. I just don't know how much they're going to be able to do it with this line, with this offensive line. If that offensive line is effective against our defensive front, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I think Jamar Taylor, once again, the way they utilize him, he is kind of like a Swiss Army knife for them. And like you said, he can catch the ball. They line him up wide, kind of like we do Danzy at times. He'll line up in the slot. He'll line up in a wide position as well. And they use him all over the field. So that's going to be a guy, like you said, if Florida State's pass defense is creating pressure, you're going to have to look out for him getting some check downs, getting quick passes out of the backfield, lining up in the slot. Because they're going to utilize all their skilled players just like Florida State does, right? So if pressure is being built, they're going to look to get the ball out quicker to those players. So he's absolutely like a guy, like you said, is a guy that Florida State has to obviously game plan for, which they obviously probably are, and a guy that you have to look at all over the field. You also have to take into account Chandler Morris can actually move. He's not a statue back there. This is a guy that can run with the ball. He's got, I think, 132 yards on the season so far. He had 56 against NC State. He only ran the ball 3 times, but he had 56 yards on the ground. So this is a guy.
Very good point. Very good point.
He had a 42-yard run against them. So this is a guy that's not Castellanos. He's not gonna, but he's quick enough to beat you. And this is, once again, we saw against Ty Simpson at times we let a guy break contain. We didn't contain that pocket, and we let a guy pick up that first down a couple of times too many. And that's the thing, we don't want to allow. Don't give UVA an easy first down, right? Don't let them get out of 3rd and long by letting Chandler letting him get a quick first down with his legs. So that'll be up to the defensive kind of. Do they stay? What's the word? Do they stay?
Contain.
Well,
contain.
No, I was thinking some other word. But do they stick to their eyes? They make sure that they're not over aggressive and try to make the play. Do they not collapse the pocket too early? It's about
stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Stay in your position.
Exactly.
Allow your teammate to do their job while you do yours. Don't try to be the star of the game and getting out of position because you think the play is going to go one way when it comes back against you and you don't have containment on your side where you're supposed to play. Exactly. Play disciplined.
Exactly.
Play disciplined. That's what we're trying to say here. This, and you made a good point. This Chandler Morris, this guy can play. All right. Now, the other thing about him, I looked up a number on him, is how does he perform when he's under pressure as a quarterback? Okay. Yeah. How does he perform? Well, you know what? He performs fairly efficiently.
Yes.
He actually above average. He's got a pretty good score on when you're under pressure, passing pressure. Yeah. He gets a good grade. And you know what? That is something that the scouts at the next level look at. How does he perform under pressure? And he scouts out pretty well on this.
Yeah, so far this year, like you said, he's been pretty effective. I mean, under pressure, under blitz, not blitz, he's been pretty consistent at all those levels, like you said, no matter what they've thrown at him. Now, once again, he hasn't faced the toughest defense in the world, so some of these stats, the amount of dropbacks where he's faced pressure hasn't been a ton. But yeah, so far this season, he's been pretty effective at, like you said, feeling the pressure and throwing it. If we look back at last year at North Texas, this is where you have a better sample size. So this, I think, can tell you what happens when you give him some pressure in his face. And this is where you start to see the real numbers. I think that if Florida State can put him under pressure, that's when you start to see that's where he makes some mistakes. Because you saw he only threw 12 interceptions last year with 31 TDs at North Texas. But under pressure, that's where you started to see the interceptions creep up. When he wasn't blitzed, when he was kept clean, that's where 26 of his 31 touchdowns came from. So if they can get them under pressure, like we said all night, if guys like Daniel Lyons and and Williams and that defensive line and Mandrell and all those guys on the defensive line, if they can force him and collapse that pocket and make him feel like he has to pressure to get the ball out to his receivers and make the tough throw. If they can't get the running game going and make pressure him to have to score a point, get them behind early, get them behind a touchdown, force the game plan on them, get them under pressure and make him force that pocket, put that pressure on the pocket. That's where he'll start to hopefully make some of those turnovers because it hasn't been that way this year for him. But the trend would say otherwise. But
this is a big money game, what I call a bag game for Darrell Jackson too. Now Jackson he's wanting to go to the next level. This is probably his last year, or maybe it's eligibility to. I don't know, but he's got to show up for this game. Okay, he's got to have a good game, and they could try to pick him, double team him a little bit, because he's got to be a disruptive force in there. Him and Lions, the Twins possibly. Somebody has to go in there and wreak havoc in the first quarter to get these guys back on their heels so we can get back to that quarterback. It's going to be critical to this game. We must get them off the field, all right, to hand the ball to our offense. I believe our offense will score a lot of points in this game if we give them the opportunity, all right? Now, if we give them the opportunity, that brings us, KB, to something you and I do talk about during the week, is the punt game, the punt return. Yeah. Is Jalen Lucas going to be back there? Is Squirrel White going to be back there? I don't really know, because the last presser I saw when they were talking to Mike Norvell this week didn't even come up. And then I saw one of the leading media shows actually making jokes about the punt return game, but they don't bring it up during the presser. I don't really understand that. If you have a concern and you're a press media guy, ask the coach. That's why he's there.
Well, and you talk about Florida State putting up points. You don't want to give a highly efficient veteran quarterback with weapons a short field like UVA. That's how you get upset. That's a muff punt. A terrible, giving up 3 yards, flipping the field quickly. That's how Florida State loses this game. That is the losing recipe for Florida State. If they give up a muff punt, they turn over the ball, give UVA a short field,
interception,
giving this UVA offense a short field, not letting them earn it,
right,
a full 80 yards,
right,
is how you lose this game away. That's how you'll lose this game. And in the special teams game, like you brought up, Florida State has been atrocious. Anybody who watches the game knows that Florida State special teams has been atrocious this year. Like the players,
they're afraid. They're afraid to catch the ball.
They are.
I get it. I
don't get it. The ball went over Jalen's head the other last game.
But I get why it's scary when when you don't have confidence. It's hard to catch anything in the air. And at this point, I do believe I haven't seen us catch punts in the last 2 seasons. Really, you know what I mean? To turn it into a 5-10 yard gain to stop the ball rolling down towards your goal line, which can really put you into a jam. We're going to see what's going to happen, but it did not come up during the press conferences that I saw.
Well, Micah Pittman was the last really good kick returner I feel like we had, like consistent. Yeah. I'm trying to think of another one, but
you just brought up Mr. Pittman will be back for us on offense. Pittman will be back.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah, he'll be back, which is a big deal for this team. That's a big deal. This is a surprise. Mike Merrick says the injuries just came out, and Cam Davis is out. That's
surprising. It didn't feel like, but he also wasn't on the depth chart this week, so I guess that matches up. Because Holmes didn't play last week, but maybe that was a healthy scratch, but he wasn't. But yeah, I mean that lines up because I didn't see Cam Davis on the depth chart this week, and I guess that makes sense now why he wasn't on it. So.
I don't know if Henry has the information there or saying that Mike has. He said the center is out. That would be Wilson. And I suspect he wouldn't play. Let's see. Henry Wiggins also said, no, put Gibson back there. He hasn't had any experience on this team catching punts yet that I'm aware of, right?
But it feels like nobody. It feels like Jalen Lucas.
He's a receiver. He's a receiver.
Yeah,
he was good. He was good there. Yeah,
I don't care. Put somebody who's not afraid to pick up the ball.
And do it. I'll tell you what. If we were to lose a game based on punt returns, there's going to be a lot of questions. There should already be some questions, but it hasn't really come up.
Yeah,
in that regard.
And the reason why it's also big is because there's I think 100% chance of rain on Friday night in Charlottesville. So you're gonna have weather, and you're gonna have some punts involved in this game.
Well, that'll dampen the crowd. That
So
would dampen the crowd noise.
but yeah, so the weather, I think it's we've been getting kind of rain all week here in the Virginia area, but in Charlottesville,
Yeah, there's
I think they're supposed
storms
to,
out in the Atlantic pushing towards the coast too. So
well, they're not in the but
no,
but
but
yeah,
I mean from a rain
yeah,
standpoint.
but yeah, I think around game time it's actually supposed to be 100% chance of rain
Wow.
in the 80s. So it's gonna be humid, it's gonna be rainy, and yeah,
That's
it'll be
adversity. That's
yeah.
adversity.
So yeah, I mean that's why this kick return, punt return, kick, it's going to be super super important. And establishing the run obviously will be important too, because if you don't have to throw in the rain, even better. But ball security, turnovers, it's going to be a big deal. That is how you will be upset by UVA if you don't take care of the ball, whether it be special teams on offense. It's going to be critical, and so far they've done pretty good, except for that one muff kick. They've been pretty good about taking care of the ball for the most part. I mean, Tommy had that one interception, last week, but I think that was a great play by the defensive line player, I think linebacker, whichever it was, but he made a great play. But so far they've been pretty good with ball security. But this can't be the week that you revert that. That would be terrible for this football team to do, because that's how you lose. But
well, it would just be a terrible blow to the program if we don't come home with a W here.
Absolutely.
I mean, because it leads you right into the Miami game.
Well, and that, do you think that has any, like, you don't think, people will say look ahead game and things like that.
We're not that good of a football team to be looking ahead over anybody. We've played one football game. It's almost a month since we played that football game.
Yeah.
The rest of it's been practice and development. And now we're playing another football team, a conference game, and a team. No, there's no way they're taking this team lightly.
I wouldn't, yeah.
And you're playing to your standard.
Yeah.
Are we playing to our standard, to our own expectations? If we do that, then we will beat this football team. And there's no doubt. I don't even really have any doubt we're going to win this game, because I don't want to come back on the air and talk about a loss. That's not going to be fun. That's not.
And
Plus, this sets up a huge ball game. We're not going to look ahead, but a huge ball game on a nationally televised Saturday night against Miami in the Doak, in a game that hasn't been seen in years.
Well, you can't talk about Miami game when you say don't look ahead, and you're looking ahead. So
I'm just saying it here, as a media guy. That's what I'm saying.
But I don't think they are looking ahead either, just because of the way they approached the last two games and didn't play to the level of their competition. They blew those teams out quickly. They approached it professionally. They weren't jawing with the other team. They went to business, and I think they'll approach it the same way.
They're not committing stupid penalties by spitting on people, stepping on people's feet, kicking a guy when he's down, pushing a guy. Play to the whistle and then go back and get ready for the next play. Make your statement in place. I like that. That's what a disciplined team does. And I guarantee you, these coaches are not going to put up with that shit. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. They are locked and loaded on what we can get done. This team is on a path to get to the ACC championship game. Okay.
Absolutely.
I feel that way, but I don't think it will always be easy.
No.
Virginia could jump up 7 points right away.
Yeah.
On a quick strike. They actually have a pretty good return guy on kickoffs too, and punt returns. He's pretty good. So they're going to have to watch out for that, especially in a muddy field.
Yep.
If they go up 7 points, maybe even 10, I still believe if we have our number of possessions and maximize those possessions on offense, we're going to score a lot of points. I do believe we have the weapons, and Gus Malzahn knows what he's doing with this offense, and the offensive line has been pretty damn good so far. Now, let me ask you this. Point spreads anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5. I've been monitoring that. Total points for both teams, 57.5. What, you think that's a fair spread?
Wait, what'd you say it was?
I've seen it as low as 6.5 to 7.5.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think that's honestly, I think it's going to be extremely close. I think this will come down. I think this will be a fourth quarter type game. Yeah, I think this will be a 7 to 10 point game and come into the fourth quarter. I think it'll be very I think, like I said, I think it'll be similar to like the UVA NC State game. Um, just because I think once again UVA is going to have a really good game plan. I think they're going to understand how Florida State plays and how they want to execute. They're going to try to stop it, or do their best to stop that. And I think UVA is going to be probably the most capable team we played in terms of scoring points, quickly and matching what Florida State can put up. So yeah, I think 7 to 10 points is a fair spread.
Yeah, I think the rain is going to dampen the crowd. That's going to keep some people away. I think that's going to help the Noles. That'll help during communication. Hopefully, we're training with some wet balls. That's always a smart thing to do on a coaching staff. And let me bring this point up. We can't ever rule out that a game could go either way with a field goal. Okay. Yeah. UVA does have an experienced field goal kicker, Will Bettridge. He's 23 of 23 on extra points this season, and he's 7 of 10 on field goals. He's 7 of 10. In his career, he's only played at UVA. He's been there 4 years. He's 11 of 17 from 40 yards out. So with a wet ball, a wet night, that's probably going to, each field goal kicker is probably going to have to move up, a little bit closer. But the guy could beat you if you let these guys hang around, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah, he's like you said, he's 0 of 1 from 50 plus this year, 1 of 2 from 40 to 49. But yeah, he's like you said, he has a ton of experience. He's not very accurate from deep, but you never know what could happen in one of these games. So
you don't want it to come down to that.
Yeah, you don't. You don't want it to come down for that. But he's not. But yeah, and you never know with the kicker. This guy could become elite from deep and become the best long kicker in the game overnight. So
yeah, he could become a hero. Anytime Virginia beats a Florida State, that is a game they always remember. They are already going back to the game. And what was that? 93? I don't even remember. I remember watching it on TV.
It was
that was a Halloween night game, I believe, on a Thursday night.
1995. You're talking the Jefferson Epps. What was it?
I think it was a Halloween game.
Yeah, the 1995 game. I think it was.
I think it was on Halloween. I could be wrong. I remember handing out trick or treat candy at the door, running back to watch the game, and then after a while, when it was so damn close, I didn't go to the door anymore. And the Warwick Dunn, ended up at the 1 inch line. So, so much for that. We don't have to talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
here's another report from Mike and Henry Wiggins. They're pushing out some information here. They have like up to the 24-hour window.
Yeah, we won't know. They won't know. We won't know. And but I don't. Once again,
we have enough athletes to show up and beat this team.
Yeah.
They don't have enough guys on this sideline to beat us. They're going to be
about execution
decent.
and game. It's about a game plan execution for Florida State. There's no reason you lose this game unless you don't execute or you don't game plan or you don't do both. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. There are tickets still available on TickPick. You can go on there. I see Henry's going. I think is Jalen going? I thought I saw Jalen's going to the game. Maybe it's an intimate stadium. It's not that big. Hey, fellas, enjoy it. It's a great place. We've both, KB and I have both seen games there. Charlottesville is a nice college town. And unfortunately for the rain in that regard. But that's how I see this game. I see Florida State winning this game like 38-17. That's what I see.
I see it.
That's my hope to go down.
38-32, something like that. 38-30, something like that. I think it's going to be high scoring. It's going to be down to Florida State getting a couple stops, creating a turnover. But I think it'll be tight. I think it's going to be stressful until the end. And because I think UVA, until Florida State can establish that they can stop the run or set a tone early, I think UVA is going to be dangerous throughout that they can score quickly and be explosive. Unless Florida State shuts that
And
down quickly and
KB,
sets a tone.
you know,
Yeah. What?
Henry's saying, "Why aren't you coming down, KB?"
Because I don't want to be
You,
on
as you told me,
66
the
or
traffic
95.
on a Friday night out of DC.
Yeah, it would be fun, but I would not want to sit in that traffic. But have fun for me. Have fun for me. I'll be drinking a pumpkin beer on my couch and watching it. And do the post game show and do the post
talking after the game. Yeah, we'll be talking after the game. So you guys are at the game. Make sure you come on the program. We're usually on about 10 minutes after the game ends, and we'll be talking about the Noles victory and what everybody liked. And we'd love to, maybe get you guys. Maybe we can get one of you guys on live. Maybe we can get you on on the phone. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. But
all right, so that's our wrap up for the game. So
Henry's coming from Fort Washington. That's over in Maryland, across the bridge.
Nice. So you must be leaving. You should make a day. You must be making a day of it. So you miss because the traffic. The traffic can be a little hairy at times. So yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah. That'll be obviously since it's Friday, you can make a whole weekend of it. So that'll be fun. Enjoy that.
Yeah, that's
that'll
good.
Be a good time. That'll be a good time.
That's good.
So yeah, 7 o'clock ESPN kickoff. We'll see you guys there. Now we let the old man. We have a new segment for the old man to get some crap off his chest because apparently he has a lot to say. So we're gonna go into a little bit of a ranting session for him, so that he can give his Week 5 old man observation.
And I only got like 3 minutes, right? I only got like 3 minutes, right?
Yeah. All right. Start the timer now. Go.
You ready? All right. First up, hot seat. Number of coaches are on the hot seat. I've been watching this all the time, probably like some other people. And the first one at the top up there, you can see UF. Billy Napier hasn't been fired yet. The question is when. It's going to happen. When are they going to do it? And a lot of these firings are about money. It's about money. It's about contracts. It's about what the record is at the time. I've been listening how these contracts are structured. It's amazing. But Billy Napier is on his way out. I'm hearing a lot about Lane Kiffin maybe coming in. Mike Gundy's already been fired at Oklahoma State. That's probably a stepping stone job for someone who's looking, maybe an OC, maybe a DC to get in there. I doubt many of the head coaches with good careers are probably going to go to Oklahoma State. Could Jimbo Fisher fit out there, come off the ACC, slide in there? Who knows? Arkansas, Sam Pittman on his way out, or he's already been fired. No, I don't know if he hasn't been fired yet. He's on the hot seat. They're probably negotiating with him. Sam is a guy who's been, he's an Arkansas guy. So they're going to want to ease him out, maybe ease him into the administration and make it look good. So, but that's going to be another job. And then down there, way below, if you can see it, we got Clemson. Okay. Does Dabo Swinney, is he setting the pavement to walk away? Dabo Swinney is going to be up for a number of jobs. Okay. His agent is out there working the phones now. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And this may be the time he leaves because his program is probably not going to get much better at Clemson over the next year or two. Okay. So that's my first observation about the hot seat, but there will be a lot of coaching changes coming up during the season and after the season. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. All right, let's go with number 2. You only give me 3 observations. Here we go. This is Oklahoma's star quarterback and Heisman Trophy candidate, John Mateer. John Mateer this is the guy, Coach Brent Venable, who a lot of people say is the cause of the decline at Clemson. John Mateer was the Heisman #1 hopeful going into the season. He's done well, but now he's had surgery. He's had surgery on his throwing thumb, okay? And he's going to be out a minimum of a month. So that's going to affect this Oklahoma team. We'll see how much it does. They've got a lot of other talent. His backup, Michael Hawkins Jr. Michael Hawkins Jr. is going to be the backup quarterback. He's going to get the start this coming week. All right, let's go on to the final observation I want to make, and that is this man. Everybody knows who this man is, and that's DJ Langway. Had a terrible game against Miami. He looks like he doesn't have any confidence. His legs aren't working that well. His arms, his throws are horrible. He's missing receivers. He's throwing interceptions. This young man, who was one of the top-rated quarterbacks coming out of high school, has had a difficult time at Gator University. And he's seen earlier this week with a walking boot on, but his coach says he's okay. He's at 100%. There's no issue here, and he will play against Texas in 2 weeks. They're off this week in Gainesville, but there's a lot of clatter for Napier's job. I saw a film shot, a raw film. He was walking back after the game in Miami, and people were calling him dead man walking. It was hard. I think Billy Napier is actually a nice guy, but he's probably over his head. His record in the SEC is like 20-21 now. It's not good. The question also, there was a rumor about Langway sitting out, saying he can't play anymore. There is no rumor or basis. There's no basis for those rumors. No opt-out, no sit-out at this point. So everybody expects to see him get well and play against Texas and Arch Manning. And those are my observations for this week.
That is it. All right. The old man gets to talk. That's my gift to him, to letting him speak every week for his. He went past the 3 minutes that I gave him.
Did I?
Way past. So we'll have to negotiate that. But hope you guys enjoyed his little rant there without me interrupting him, because I know some people don't like that. But those are good. Those are good. A lot to unpack there. But I thought I liked your first little segment there. So I hope you guys enjoyed that too, because there's a lot of things we missed. There's a lot of crap going on in the world, and a lot of crap going on in college football.
It's only going to get worse, man.
A lot of stuff in college football going on.
Hey, and there's one job, and let me just say this. Okay, I'm over my 3 minutes. This is an add-on. 2 add-ons.
Save it for next week.
No. Two quick add-ons. One is, look for Jimbo Fisher to be sniffing around the Virginia Tech job. He's from West Virginia. He might be a good fit there, at least as a stepping stone program to get his career going again. Okay? And I'm not saying anything about John Gruden. Bottom line, looks like Lee Corso could be in Tallahassee for the Miami-Florida State game, as getting honored there at halftime. And game day looks like they're coming to Tallahassee. That's it from me.
Well, we'll see. Florida State needs to take care of business this weekend. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it looks like things could be lining up. Florida State, please take care of business on Friday. We have 2 days to the game, 1.5 days to the game, less than that. Everyone, get prepared for it. Get your groceries in order. If you're going to the game, drive safely. Enjoy that weekend there. Enjoy some of the wineries out there as well.
Well, you take your umbrella, guys, or your ponchos. Yeah.
It'll be fun. Have fun there. Good wineries down there, too, if you make a weekend out of it. So enjoy that. If you're not going to the game, obviously, it's Friday, so get your grocery list in order and make some snacks for that. But we appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Always enjoy it. So please like the video, subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Give us your score predictions in the comments below of the video. Yeah. We'd love to see if you guys disagree or agree with us. Do you think it's going to be a blowout? You think it's going to be an upset? You think it's going to be a close game? Love to hear your thoughts. And then join us for the post-game after show where we'll give our live reaction. Stay on for a couple of 20 minutes or so. Give our live reaction and give our thoughts on it. And we'd love to get your thoughts. So be with us on Friday. Hit the bell so you get the notifications. And y'all, we will see you soon. So enjoy your Wednesday night. Enjoy your Thursday. And we will see you on Friday. Have a great week, guys. We're almost to the finish line. And we will see you soon. Go Noles. Go Noles. And let's get that win on Friday night. Enjoy.
Seminole sideline 360.